Every shelf tells a story, but if you look closer, the way we collect tells a story too. A lot of the times we start out fast, we chase everything, we burn out, and then we come back. And somewhere in between all of that is where we find ourselves. Today, I want to walk through 5 major phases that most collectors go through, whether we realize it or not. These phases aren't mistakes. They're part of the journey. Stick around. The thrill of buying everything. Let's keep it real. When we first start collecting, it's almost like a rush. We start walking into stores or we start going online and suddenly it's like we're 10 years old again. It's almost like, yo, I gotta play catch up. I'm so far behind, I don't have anything. That first potato chip hits, and then you realize you're not going to stop at just one. It's like, oh, I need this one. I need that one too. I need Batman, Robin, and I need Alfred. As a matter of fact, I need this whole wave. I need that wave and I need that wave too. Why is this particular figure a Target exclusive? Now I got to go over there. And before you know it, it's like, boom, we knee deep. You see, the thing about this phase that we're never going to get back is the fact that this is the only time we have, the only phase we have where we have a blank slate. This is the only time that we don't have anything, so everything looks real attractive. This is the time where we can start off disciplined and start going the direction that we want to go, or this is the time where we're going to be all over the place, treating a toy aisle like a buffet line, trying to get a little bit of everything. Myself, I think I was somewhere in the middle of all that. I was smart enough that when I started collecting, I told myself I only wanted to do 1 or 2 teams at a time. And for sure, I knew I was going to save the X-Men for last because I knew how deep that lineup was. What I didn't really think through was how deep every other team really was once you start breaking it all down. I said I was in the middle of those 2 things. So at the same time that I was ducking the X-Men and thinking I was doing something by doing that, I was setting myself up for failure by picking up randoms that I did want. Remember, I'm in this initial phase, so I'm picking up figures a lot faster than I should be picking them up. I'm basically in a race with myself. So you know I started off with Daredevil, but I did wind up getting Punisher right behind that. I came across Human Torch in Walgreens and Green Goblin in Walmart just walking by. The Age of Ultron, Hulkbuster, and Hulk set was gifted to me by one of my friends, and then the Sauron wave was big not too long after that. And then Cable just came up after that. Mysterio, Iron Man, and Thanos came right behind those, and we can stop right there. I'm over here talking about no X-Men, but at the same time, by picking up every figure that's familiar to me, I just started collecting like how many worlds at one time? Daredevil is Defenders, Human Torch is Fantastic Four, Green Goblin is Spider-Verse, and Hulkbuster and Hulk are Avengers. Deadpool and Cable were starting to look lost, and Sauron's looking at me like, what you said about no X-Men? This phase is exciting, it's fun, and honestly, I don't regret it. That thrill right there is actually what pulls a lot of us in. It's that reconnection that really does it for us. The completionist phase. So yeah, all that mayhem I just talked about turns that thrill into a mission. So now it's like, yo, I got all these stragglers on my shelf. It's starting to look like all over the place. Now it's about finishing sets, completing teams, and getting that last piece for that Build-A-Figure that I done racked up for. This is where you definitely feel productive, almost like you're leveling up. But this is also the point where in the middle of chasing it all and trying to put everything together, you start buying things that you really don't care about just to fill in gaps on the shelf. I had to be real careful because I caught myself trying to do a bunch of things at the same time. That Spider-Verse itself is something that could take up all your time, energy, and money. And I started that at the same time as a bunch of other teams. You start asking yourself after a while, right here, am I collecting out of joy or obligation? If you're not careful about the characters that you're putting into these universes and the amount of characters that you're putting into these universes, it can get overwhelming real quick. And that right there is what's going to lead to burnout. At some point, it starts to hit you. You start to look at your shelves, or even worse, your unopened boxes, and you start to feel like nothing. Now it's not easy anymore. You walk into a store and either they sold out, you already have it, or you just don't care. You look online and it's either sold out or you're good. Now it's like a job trying to get a figure. It's not as easy as it used to be and the payoff's not the same, but you're already invested, so you're feeling some type of way. This is the burnout phase right here. This is where you start to ask yourself questions like, why am I really doing this? What do I actually enjoy? How did I wind up with all of this stuff? This is also the phase where a lot of collectors who just started out may feel like collecting really isn't for them. Either they thought it was going to be a lot easier than it actually is, or they realized that they just rather be doing something else. This is exactly how I started started collecting different toy lines right here. I started with Marvel Legends, but whenever they start putting out waves that I'm not interested in, I start looking at other lines like maybe I could squeeze something else in right here. And that's how I started getting into more multiverse figures and Black Series figures because Marvel Legends was dry at the time. But when I went to the store and I saw those lines, it was like I could start the cycle all over again. These phases don't just happen once. They repeat, not just with one line, but across different ones. I might be burnt out with Marvel Legends, but I'm hyped about Transformers. Maybe I cooled off with McFarlane, but now I'm back with Jada. That's what keeps it fresh because different lines bring different energies. And honestly, that may be the best way to avoid getting burnt out altogether. You can be at a different place with different lines at different times. Like, it's possible to be like, I ain't got no $50 for no Maximum Spider-Man, but I got $50 for a leader class transformer. The reason that's possible is because one of those lines has you burnt out and the other line makes you feel rewarded. This part of collecting right here can be a little discouraging, but it's also a turning point. Burnout isn't a failure. It's your mind telling you to collect with intention. Downsizing. What usually follows a burnout is what I call a refocus. This right here is where you might start letting things go. Maybe selling off full waves or figures that don't really mean anything to you. Or maybe not even that. Maybe this could be the part where you just start boxing things up and putting them in bins because they really don't matter right now. What's left at this point are the figures that really mean something to you. Your favorite characters, your favorite teams, the nostalgic ones, the throwbacks, the conversation pieces, or just the shelves that bring you peace. For me, this is where I was like, you know what? I love my Groots, but I don't really want the rest of my Guardians out. Not right now. Do I need 3 Shazams? Or is one enough? Because I don't even like Shazam like that. This is where I started to refine my collection because at first I was just trying to fill up space because everything looked empty. Now it's not so empty and space is at a premium. So I'm thinking to myself like, what am I doing? We kind of go from, yo, I need everything to these are the ones that really matter. And when you have that shift right there, that's when collecting starts to become personal. Again, life stages. And throughout everything that I've been talking about, let's not forget that at the same time, life keeps happening. We changing jobs, we moving, we getting married, we having kids, depressions, recessions, getting a new car, tariffs, fixing the old car. We facing setbacks out here. And at the same time, collecting has to fit into whatever it is that's going on in our life at the current time. And it never stops. It's always something. And in the grand scheme of things, collecting is always going to come last to whatever it is that life brings at you. Whatever that is. You might have a kid and have to take some time off or even have to let some things go. Bills might go up and now disposable income is cut in half and now we got to cut back or whatever that means. Maybe our taste changes and maybe now we like something new and totally different. That's all good and that's all normal. What matters is that collecting evolves with you, not against you. And everything that we already have is a placeholder of that. We're not the same people we were when we first started collecting. In our collections, they're not supposed to stay the same either. So if you're in one of these phases right now, whether you're just buying everything, stepping back and taking a break, or just starting out fresh, know this, you're not alone and you're not doing it wrong. And you guys let me know in the comments if I'm bugging out or not. I feel like these are 5 stages that I constantly go through when it comes to different lines. I just recycle them over and over. Have you been through any of these phases before? What phase are you in right now? Because like I said before, this ain't just about the figures. It's about us, where we've been, what we're going through, and how this hobby grows with us. They're more than just toys, and they always have been. Until next time, peace.